In the previous video, we looked at setting our units in our AutoCAD drawing. Now we're in a different drawing this time. You can see that we're in O2 converting units.dwg. And what we've got here is a very simple rectangle drawn using imperial units. How do we check that? Well, we type units like so, like we did in the previous video, and press enter. Now you can see that I'm using a different unit display. I'm using architectural for the length there to a precision of 1/4 of an inch. So I can use feet and inches to the precision of 1/4 of an inch. The decimal degrees over here for the angle would pretty much stay the same. You tend to use decimal degrees regardless of whether you're in an imperial drawing or a metric drawing. And you'll notice, because I'm in architectural this time, the default insertion scale has gone to inches, because obviously it knows if I'm bringing an AutoCAD block in, it's going to scale it up to inches for me if it needs to be scaled when you insert that block. So I'm going to OK that, and that's all fine. How do I check distances though, just to check what they are, whether they're feet and inches, millimeters, light years, whatever it takes? I go to the Home tab on the ribbon, and I go to the Utilities panel here. Now you'll notice mine is squished up because of my screen resolution. Don't worry, you will be able to see all of those icons there. I just click on the little flyout arrow there. And I want to go to the Measure tool, click on the flyout there and select Distance. Now make sure down here that your object snaps are on. Click on this little arrow here and just make sure that end point is ticked. Obviously everything you select in this list will become ticked, and it means that those snaps are on, okay? And then just click down here or hit Escape just to lose that menu. Okay, now what I'm going to do is measure the distance. So I go to the Utilities panel, click there, and Distance like so. And I'm going to use the Object Snap, which is on, Endpoint Snap there, click, hover over this corner, Endpoint Snap there, click. And you can see that's showing me a distance of 4 feet 0 inches. It's showing it on the command line, showing it on the dynamic input. So I know that that's 4 feet 0 inches using the architectural display. So I'll just exit the Measure tool, and what I'll do, I'll type units again and press enter. I'm going to change the type of length unit to decimal, and I'm going to use 2 decimal places. Now this does not change it from imperial to metric, not yet anyway. So I'll OK that now, and I'll measure the distance again, Utilities panel here, Measure tool, Distance, and use the Endpoint Snap to the Endpoint Snap, just like I did before, and click. It's now 48. So it's a different distance, but I haven't made anything bigger. No, you haven't, because what is there is 48 inches now using a decimal readout rather than the architectural, which gives us feet and inches. So 4 feet times 12 inches is 48 inches. So I'll just exit the Distance tool there. Now what happens if I want to convert from imperial to metric though? How do I convert the units? Well, that's where you utilize the Scale command. I select the rectangle. I then bring the crosshair up a little bit and right click, and you can see I've got Scale there on the shortcut menu. So I select Scale, and it prompts me now for a base point. I'm going to use that bottom left corner end snap there. And now as I move, can you see I can make that bigger and smaller? It's prompting me for a scale factor. Now, roughly speaking, there are 25.4 millimeters in an inch. I've got 48 inches that I need to times by 25.4. So all I do is I type in 25.4 as the scale factor. So every inch now is being converted and made 25.4 times bigger. I press enter. Rectangle is much, much bigger, and you have actually physically resized it. So if I just keep zooming out and then panning, it looks the same, but do you notice the Y and the X look much, much closer to it now? That's because we've resized it and converted it to millimeters by scaling it and making it bigger. So if I use that Distance tool again, I go back to the Utilities panel, Measure and Distance there. I go to the Endpoint Snap there, zoom in. If you don't get the endpoint, obviously use a different snap if need be, but I've got the endpoint there, come out, pan across, come to here, click there, and I've now got a totally different distance, 1219.20. That is now in millimeters. So that's your 48 times 25.4 millimeters to convert everything physically in the Model tab to millimeters. So that's how you convert units using the same measurement system, i.e. imperial, going from 4 feet 0 inches to 48 inches, or physically converting the model in the model tab to a different measurement setting, such as millimeters. So what I've got there now is I've got the 48 inches times by 25.4 millimeters in an inch, which gives me that 1219.20. So there's lots of different ways of converting units in AutoCAD. And what you'll find as we work through this course, I'll show you many different methods of utilizing your units, to annotate your units, to scale your units, and so on. But that's how you convert your units in AutoCAD 2017.